But let's talk about the trade tensions with today's panel. Belpointe Asset Management Chief Market Strategist David Nelson and John Hancock Investment Management Head of Capital Markets Research Emily Roland. Both of you, thank you for joining us. Is there real optimism here with the president's let's make a deal? That's what he said, coming to make a deal.
Sure, let's make a deal. And all of us have obviously been following Twitter like never before over the last few days. You know, and I think that the news that the Chinese delegation is going to be coming here to the U.S. is something that certainly is propping up markets today. But, you know, markets have really shown their hand a bit over the last couple of days as we see that a trade deal was, you know, essentially priced into the markets. And, you know, of course, we're seeing some volatility. That's something that should certainly be expected. But this isn't a great time to be ramping up this rhetoric on a trade war. We're watching the macro backdrop actually slow. Economic growth is continuing to decelerate. Really, in our view, not a great time to be contributing to the volatility with all of this news.
I mean, that's not what the president would say, right? He would say economic growth is roaring along. We just had a very strong jobs report, right? So what better time than to face off against the Chinese on this?
Well, he did it right at the top, didn't he? You know, he decided to take his chips off the table. Look, it's interesting how this has really changed over the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, you know, this president was coming out and bashing China. Suddenly, it's conventional wisdom because both sides of the aisle seem to be in support. This seems to have bipartisan support. Even Chuck Schumer was out just recently saying, hang in tough, Mr. President. I was kind of surprised by that.
Well, if you've gone this far, I mean, if you started the thing in the first place, you got to finish it.
Yeah, but the Chinese, they backtracked, as we now know. The cable that they sent
more
on
than
Friday night.
backtracked.
Right.
They almost tried to rewrite the deal.
So what else could the president do but what he said, look, okay, bring on the tariffs?
I think we have to understand that this is a new dynamic, a new world we're living in. China, for me, is the new Russia. And they're an adversary in every sense of the word. It's not just trade. It's economically, foreign policy, and even militarily. Well, this will be playing out because in the end, they'll cheat, and we'll be back here at the negotiating table once again.
Right, that this will not be done.
This will not be done, even with a signed signature.
You say they're the new Russia, but they're the old China on the comments you just made about cheating. And the big issue here, don't you think, is the enforcement. That's what really upset Lighthizer and Mnuchin, is that they were rescinding the agreements about enforcement and even promises to change law in China.
That's right. And, you know, the drama continues. It'll probably be something else tomorrow, right? But certainly the technology piece is absolutely critical to it. Trump wants some, you know, he wants an agreement in place that these rules are going to be enforced, and he's not going to stop until he gets that.
Well, something that we keep trying to figure out is, does it matter what the final agreement really looks like, particularly if the Chinese are going to ignore it anyway? Do you think it matters to the market what's in there?
I don't think that trade and tariffs actually matter as much as investors think. Right? What matters more and what people are underappreciating is that growth globally has been slowing for a while.
Let me interrupt you because we've just got Sarah Sanders, this is the White House press secretary, just told reporters that they've gotten an indication that China wants to make a deal. Our teams are in continued negotiations.
Everybody wants to make a deal.
They'll sit down tomorrow and we'll see what happens. No, but this plays into, look, the question we were asking was the pressure towards getting a deal. Now, you're asking, will markets care what this deal looks like? I'm going to throw out there that the president and Lighthizer and Mnuchin do care what this deal looks like, and that they wouldn't just accept anything so that they can say we got a deal. I think this president would say, no, it's got to be what we set out to get.
I think, you know, President Xi's calculus all along has been to drag his feet as long as he can, push it towards 2020, hope for a change in the administration, have a better bargaining chip.
So you buy what President Trump, his theory on that
I think he's absolutely right on that. But I think it's a miscalculation because now we're finding that they're just as strong as Trump is. They want to see this hang in tough.